There's no way to put this gently, but Joe Biden has nut cancer. He has a small nodule in his prostate that is that has been, let the jury see that Dave Anthony is raising his glass. There is a small, it was a small nodule that was being investigated in his prostate. It turns out to be stage 4 prostate cancer that has metastasized to the bone. It can be treated with hormone therapy. That's what they're looking into. It is also a diagnosis that 300,000 Americans a year get. 3 million people currently live with prostate cancer. Not all of them very well, but there's a lot of angles to this story, Dave. And I want to find the Bitchuation Room's, unique angle, but we have to sift through a lot of it. There's a healthcare angle and the fact that he's going to get the best treatment available. There's the tone policing on how we should feel about said diagnosis that is happening from a lot of Dems, people in my mentions.
Great.
Yeah, people who are very mad that anyone would feel anything but like endless empathy and sympathy, and as if this person were our family member.
Yeah, I didn't care when Pol Pot died. Idi Amin, all of the people who have done genocides, I haven't cared about.
Well, we would hope you would make a little bit of an exception for an American, Dave. Like
our genocider.
Our genocider.
He's a war criminal. His career is a nightmare. He is a ghastly, horrible human being. And I would say, Libs, if you're upset now about what people are saying, when he dies, I would check out for a few days because we're going to be having parties. He's Dick Cheney to us.
Somehow a man who's still alive. Look, if I were to wish this upon someone, maybe not. This might not be my number one, but I will say, just to respond to you, the night before I learned of the diagnosis, it was Saturday. It was Saturday, I believe. And this was when we knew that Israel was ramping up their attacks on Gaza, and they were leaking this, final solution thing, just a straight Holocaust. And I felt nothing but rage for Joe Biden, that I wanted him actually to go away. I mean, I won't say exactly what I felt or thought, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, this is on him. This is on his fucking hands. And now we know with all this new reporting that all the Biden officials resigned because they were like, nothing is being done to rein in this insanity, this human rights atrocity. So I don't want anything to do with it. Including Jewish officials who are like, I want no part of this. This is not anti-Semitism. This is human rights violation, whatever. This is genocide. So, but apparently you're not, when someone is sick, Dave, I don't know if you knew this, but when someone is sick, they become awesome. Like they become great. And everything that they've done must be heralded.
Look, I was happy when my dad died because he was a piece of garbage. So if you expect me to now all of a sudden act like Biden is some good statesman, he's a terrible person. He's a terrible, terrible person. He has, in my life, he has made death acceptable both domestically and internationally like no other president in my lifetime.
And I think that, I was thinking about this too. I was like, maybe, and this is going to sound, again, Blue MAGA, cover your ears. I do kind of feel like Joe Biden is the prostate cancer of America. Just like slow growing, persistent, will kill you, but like not as aggressively as a Republican, like not a pancreatic situation, but like Joe Biden, who's refused to advocate for Medicare for all in his long storied career, to say nothing, of course, of support of Israel in his whole career. Joe Biden, who, and this was interesting to point out, that he granted clemency to a Mississippi doctor who was sentenced to 20 years for defrauding Medicare by providing diluted chemo drugs and old needles to cancer patients. One of the patients, now I want you to know, the person who, the account that pushed this tweet out, this information out, is an account called Hold Dems Accountable, which is basically they're like, yo, we don't believe in the right, we hate fascism, but we need to do better. So like, in case you think that a Republican is finding no, it's ostensible, it's progressives, it's leftists. And on top of it, I think doing to me the biggest failure, which was walking our country back into the arms of Donald Trump. Even though he said it was him alone who could get elected, and he did get elected. A lot of things had to come together for him to get elected, namely also the George Floyd uprising of 2020. And he rode that wave of, reaction and response. He claimed that he was going to do something on that front and didn't. The entire Democratic establishment coalesced around Biden, and Obama made the call. Everyone else dropped out because heaven forbid that Bernie Sanders would be the nominee. Not because they would have lost, but because what if he would have won? What if he would have won and all of our donors, all of the money we make would go away? And if you think that I'm being crass, 16 Democrats just voted with Republicans in the Senate to effectively greenlight Trump's meme coin scam right now. Yeah. That just happened. These people want their money too. They just don't want to look like open pieces of shit while they're getting it.
Look, the other thing is there are a lot of people with prostate cancer. There's not a lot of people with aggressive prostate cancer. Here's the fun thing. Go Google aggressive cancers and COVID, and you see a massive spike. COVID is causing aggressive cancers. It messes with your T cells. It does a lot of damage to your immune system. And he now has an aggressive cancer because who knows how many times doddering old dementia got COVID, because he's a guy with dementia who took off his mask when he wasn't supposed to, when none of the health departments around the country were ready for it. He just whipped it off and said it's fine now because he's an old man with dementia. And that alone caused so many people to be disabled and die because he should not have been doing it.
This was the question, obviously, mainstream news between sort of like glazing Biden's legacy and, all of that. They're also really focused on, I think, the least interesting angle, but it's an angle. And the right is obviously also focused on this, which is, when did he know that he had prostate cancer? This is from Morning Joe, which I think is sort of notable given how much Joe Scarborough loves Joe Biden, as well as Donald Trump. And here is a physician saying that there's no way that they didn't detect this earlier. He's not actually specifically saying that, but we can talk about whether this was detected earlier. He's saying he definitely had it while being in office.
You believe it is likely, if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone, that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
So again, I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you are saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021.
So, look.
Yeah, first of all, that guy talking is a monster. So let's. That guy's just
Scarborough, you mean, or the doctor?
No, the doctor. The doctor's a guy who's like, yeah, when you're 76, you should just die. Like, he's like a monster.
Oh, really?
He's one of the architects of Biden's of Obamacare, but he's an absolute monster. But yeah, he had it for a long time. But like I said, COVID is taking a lot of just regular cancers and making them aggressive. Like, it's not causing cancer; it's making cancers more aggressive.
Yeah,
and pancreatic cancers through the roof. So this could also be the case here. I don't know how often it is aggressive, but I was watching scientists talk about it, and they're like, "Yeah, this is a little on the nose with what we've been going through." But yeah, he had it. Why would they tell us? We all saw The West Wing. We all saw he got away with it.
I didn't. Was this
Well,
his
yeah,
plot
but
line in the West Wing?
they literally have been trained to learn that it's okay for you to hide your medical condition. Like they went through it with the show,
Yeah.
and he came out and was still a great president. Liberals have literally been trained to fucking believe in this stuff. And they also think like, well, we just got to stop the big bad. So if he's got to hide his cancer, he's got to hide his cancer. And it's like, dude said he was going to be one-term president. He should have already been gone. Day one, he should have been like, this is my last term. That's why we're here, because he didn't.
That's why we're here. That is why we're here. Agreed. And look, I think you're right. Like in the grand scheme of, am I more mad if he knew he had it? This is the question. If he knew he had it and didn't say anything, I don't know. I'm more concerned about his actions. But you're right. If you get elected, it's 2021. You only think, or you say you're going to serve one term. That's 4 years. Okay. Your prostate cancer is probably not going to get you by then, right? It is slow growing. I'm curious as to like why he wasn't already undergoing some sort of treatment, or which is even grosser to be like, I mean, it's more just like what you're saying, a product of our just really politics where it's like, well, he can actually undergo treatment because then the public would know. Okay, so you're hastening his demise by not treating it. It's just,
But is there any indication that they were treating him like a human being at all? Like the people surrounded him, like his wife to me is just a monster. Like, how could she let him go through all that? The dementia stuff is crazy. And she's like, yeah, he'll run again. It's like, what were these? They were just like using him. The people around him are really monsters. I mean, even I feel like Nancy Reagan was maybe better at it than Jill Biden. But again, it's hard to have these critiques without feeling like we're playing into the right narratives around this. Because ultimately, again, I don't care if he was doing good, I would be okay with it. I mean, and that's kind of my own bias, which is like, if he put a stop to weapons shipments to Israel, I'd be like, good on this president. If he stuck to his guns on the Build Back Better bill and didn't let Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema run roughshod over him, I would have been down with that. But he didn't on any of those levels. And I think even more importantly, the Gaza age question actually comes in. It plays well together because right around the time when libs were starting to talk about whether or not he was fit for office, this was like, again, like, yeah, obviously before October 7th in the summer, as soon as October 7th happened, it's like, well, now he's a wartime president. We're not going to talk about it. And so then for the next 10 months until it was clear he had to, or whatever, less than that, when it was clear he had to run again, nobody really talked about his fitness for office or whether he should run again, because it was like, well, now we're in lockstep with Israel fighting the terrorists again. What a great win. So they actually are related more than I think a lot of Democrats want to admit. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do